Welcome to Living the Empowered Life podcast. I'm Tamiko Lowry Pugh, also known as the Empowering Diva. Each week, you'll hear inspirational interviews as well as actionable tips and strategies that you can implement into your daily life to help you live a life of passion, purpose, and potential. Thanks for spending time with me today. Now let's jump into today's episode of Living the Empowered Life. Are you the go-to person in your group of friends? Do you have a zest for life and enjoy helping others reach their full potential? Do you feel a calling to make a difference in the world? If this is you, then you may want to consider becoming a life coach. We have a virtual online training starting soon. Our life coach training focuses on helping women who desire to motivate, inspire, and empower other women by using their skills, expertise, and experience to thrive as a personal development coach. Using the empowerment formula, participants will learn step-by-step tools, tips, and techniques needed to attract great clients and build a thriving, purposeful, and profitable coaching business. Get all the details and register at www.tamikolowry.com/life coach training. Welcome to another episode of Living the Empowered Life podcast. I'm your host, the Empowering Diva, Tamiko Lowry Pugh. In today's episode, I'll be talking with speaker, author, Self Love Coach, creator of the Respect My Crown movement, Jillian J.J. Simmons. Jillian J.J. Simmons is a radio TV host, speaker, author, and the creator of Respect My Crown. Respect My Crown encourages women to deepen in spirituality, sisterhood, accountability, and service. Jillian is also the founder of JJ's I'm Me Foundation that inspires teen girls to be the best version of themselves. Listen, I've had the opportunity to be introduced to JJ a few years ago by a mutual friend, and I must say it was definitely a divine connection. JJ is not only an industry colleague, but she is my Thriver sister, making an impact on the community and bringing awareness to domestic violence. All right, so you have heard her amazing bio. We're going to go ahead and dive into our powerful conversation with Jillian J.J. Simmons. JJ, welcome to Living the Empowered Life podcast. How are you?
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I am doing great. I am here in H-Town, Houston, Texas, and feeling good, girl. Feeling good.
Well, that's good to know. You know, in spite of everything that we have going on in the world, in the community, it's good to feel good, right? You know, just making sure that we don't allow those things to impact how we feel on a daily basis.
That's right. That's so right.
So listen, I'm excited to dive into this conversation with you. I've already read your amazing bio, but what I really want people to know is outside of the bio, I've had an opportunity to get to know you over the past few years. And I don't really see you as just an industry colleague, but I see you as a friend, an actual friend in this industry of empowerment and empowering women to do better. And one of the things that I love about you is that, you know, you're a survivor of domestic violence. I'm a survivor of domestic violence. And just to see you using your voice and using your story to create change and to make a difference and to bring an awareness to what's happening in the community. And so October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So super excited to kick off the month with your story and all the things that you're doing in the community.
Yes, girl, always doing a lot.
Right, and that's okay. So, Jillian, let's go ahead and dive into this conversation. Or JJ, can I call you JJ?
You can call me whatever. My friends call me JJ. That's fine.
Good. So, of course, I read your bio, but I want people to know who you are from you. So, tell us a little bit about who you are and about the Respect My Crown movement.
Yeah. So, well, first and foremost, I'm a mom. a single mom to an amazing 13-year-old. Pray for me, got a teenager. So who is awesome. But yeah, I run a nonprofit organization, and Respect My Crown is a movement that I created a few years ago to help women to really dive into spirituality, accountability, sisterhood, and service. And what's interesting is that when I first started Respect My Crown, I thought it was going to be all about mentorship and entrepreneurship and helping women get their money right. And God had a whole nother plan. And it happened when I came out of an abusive relationship. And I shared my story publicly, and so many people wanted to learn more. Like they were in the same place where I was in their healing process, like just coming out of an abusive relationship, wanting help. And so Respect My Crown just took a turn, and it ended up being a place where I could create a safe space for women to share their stories, to learn, to explore, to heal, and not feel judged. So Respect My Crown, we created events called The Gathering. And of course, because of the pandemic, a lot of our stuff is on hold. We're doing more virtual activities now, but The Gathering, we would create different topics and women would gather and just talk. We did a dinner series called the Respect My Crown Dinner Series, where it was a more intimate setting where my therapist, who is now my friend, she had to fire me as a client because we became friends. And but she'll come and give her insight on a certain topics while we eat dinner, and it's just a great way for us to bond. And I mean, I'm sure when you're coming out of an abusive relationship, you may feel alone, or you feel like people just don't get it. Like, even if your friends and family are there wanting to be as supportive as they can be, sometimes they just don't get it. And so to be around women who really get it can really help with your healing process. And so, yeah, Respect My Crown, it really took off, and it's been a beautiful experience over the last couple of years.
That's so awesome. And I love the fact that you said, coming out of a relationship like that or that type of experience, you definitely have to be around people who get it, because it's so easy to feel alone. Even if you have a support system, I know even for myself, I had girlfriends that were there for support, but I don't think they really got it.
Yeah.
And so being able to be around people that get it, they understand what you're going through, they understand your journey and that healing process is great. So I love what you're doing with The Gathering. Keep up the great work. And, even the 4 things that you mentioned, spirituality, accountability, sisterhood, and service, those are so important. Those are really the key elements that we need as women, no matter what it is we go through, whether it's domestic violence, a loss of a job, or whatever obstacle it is. I think it's really important that we have those areas that we focus on and have accountability in those areas. So awesome. Love that you're doing that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You have a couple of different things going on. So even outside of the Respect My Crown movement, you have the I'm Me Foundation. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So my I'm Me Foundation, we started in 2010. And what happened was my daughter was just going to kindergarten. And she would come home talking about stuff that I'm like, what? Like, how do you even know about this? Like, how do you know Justin Bieber went to jail? Like, what are you like? Where are you getting this info? Are y'all watching TMZ in school? And it just made me think, like, my daughter's being influenced by girls at school, and she's looking up to girls at school, and I don't know who they are. And it was scary for me because we want the best for our kids. And I pour everything that I can into my daughter. But when you really think about it, your kids are at school more than they are with you.
That's true.
And by the time she gets home from school, it's like homework, dinner, and night. So I was like, well, what if I created a program to help girls to be amazing role models for little girls like mine? And so that's how the I'm Me Foundation began. And we've been doing a tour. We actually just wrapped up our 8th year touring middle schools and high schools here in Houston, allowing girls to participate in this 8-week program. And it included everything from robotics to healthy cooking, goal setting, etiquette, health and fitness, beauty and style, financial literacy, and mental health sessions. And it really has just made a great impact over the years. And I decided to kind of retire the program because it has been 8 years. And my passion is really helping these young ladies and men, for that matter, young men, to understand what dating abuse looks like. And so we've decided to restructure the foundation so that we can just give more information about dating abuse, domestic abuse, and helping these young people to understand these often missed signs of abuse before it gets too far. And it's the perfect age range. Some people are like, I don't know. You shouldn't talk to them about this until they're, 18. I'm like, no, kids are learning everything off of the internet and social media very early on. And so these conversations need to happen very early on. And we want them to be able to have healthy relationships and be advocates for healthy relationships. So that's where the I'm Me Tour is now.
I love that. I love that you're focusing on the teen dating violence aspect of it. It's so important that we focus on that and teach our teenagers how to have healthy relationships. And I know you mentioned, people are like, oh, let's wait until they're 18. When they turn 18, it's going to be probably too late. Unfortunately, it'll be too late because my first experience with dating abuse, I think I was 14 or 15 and had no idea what dating abuse meant. I didn't know what domestic violence was. I just thought the little boy loved me. He was controlling. I thought it was cute, right? Like when somebody is overprotective of you, or you think they're stalking me. Oh, that's so cute. They think it's cute. And so it's important to address that early on. By the time they get 18, it's going to be too late. So kudos to you for starting early.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, you're so right. And even when you think about the smallest things, like back in the day, they used to tell us, well, and parents probably still do. Oh, if he's hitting you or picking on you, it's just because he likes you. And it's like, oh, we got to get rid of that mentality because, nobody should be putting their hands on anybody. And we make it seem so innocent and that's how we start these toxic patterns, right? Of, well, I guess if he hits me, it's okay. It just means he likes me. No, he doesn't need his hands on you. That's just it. And so trying to even teach parents, like we got to get rid of what we've been told growing up. It's a new world. We got to change these mentalities.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And JJ, you have the Respect My Crown movement. You have the I'm Me Foundation, which both focus on different aspects of domestic violence or dating violence. And so, as it relates to healing and bringing awareness and teaching. And oftentimes, people that are in this industry, it's because of a personal experience. And so if it's okay with you, do you mind sharing a little bit of your story as to how you got started with this? And tell us what you're doing now as a survivor.
Yes. So back in 2010, I had just divorced my daughter's father at the time and got into this relationship with this guy who was like the man of my dreams and just perfect, said everything right. I'll never treat you like he treated you and just everything. And it wasn't my first time being abused because I've been physically abused in the past, but it was my first time really understanding what mental and emotional abuse was. Because it's so insidious, you don't see it, right? Like it just kind of creeps up on you. And it turned my whole life around. And so I was in this relationship for only about a year. And I remember sitting down talking to my dad, and I was coming out of the relationship, and my dad said, "Hey, you you need to go see somebody because you've been dating a sociopath. And he's like,
Yes.
you've been abused. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'm not crazy. Like, I don't need to see therapists. Like, he needs to go see somebody. And the guy was stalking me after we broke up. So you can only imagine, like, I'm going through depression because this is something that people may not realize is coming out of an abusive relationship may seem even harder than being in the relationship. It's very tough when you're coming out. So I'm in depression. I'm being stalked. I'm like on 6 pills a day, trying to heal from this relationship. And then I saw my dad cry for the first time. And he said, Jillian, like, I really need you to go see somebody. And so I entered into therapy. And girl, I thought therapy was like a one-day thing.
Mm-hmm.
like I'm gonna go and I'm
process.
fixed. Yeah. I was like, oh, I'm good. And the next thing you know, there was so much stuff that she was able to dig out. And I was like, oh shoot, like I got issues. Like I'm dating people who are like my mother and they treat me like my mother treated me as a child. And so therapy was like a 3-year journey. And, so I finally felt like I was healed. I was in a better place. And, I dated some guys. I met some great guys. They just weren't a great fit. And then finally I was like, you know what? I'm going to take 3 years off. Like, I'm not going to date for 3 years. And girl, felt so good. And then here comes this other guy. And this time he was a minister.
Mm.
And once again, he seemed like a dream come true. But this time it was different because I saw the signs immediately. Wow. I saw every red flag, like from the very beginning. This time, I just didn't trust myself. And I didn't listen to my intuition. And I found myself again in another abusive relationship. And this was harder because this person's praying for me in the morning and praying for me at night. And I'm like, but everything in between was just so toxic and just a mess. And I finally got out of that relationship. And it wasn't as tough as the first time, right? Because once you get the tools, you're like, all right, I can heal a lot quicker because I know better. I know what I need to do. And, through those years, I've written a book about my first experience. I share, I'm a very transparent person. I share my experiences because I want people to learn from my mistakes and in my experiences as a whole. And so yeah, I've done it twice. And it's common for women to do this if they really haven't done the work. And for me, the biggest part of that work that I'm sharing with other women is trusting when you feel like it doesn't feel right, like know that is real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, let me just first say this. Thank you I'm sorry you had to go through what you went through, but I do want to say thank you for being transparent and for sharing your story. I believe that whenever we share our stories, that we are definitely bringing hope and healing to other people who are experiencing the same thing. And so, thank you for not being selfish, and thank you for using your story to be a blessing to other women. I know that there's someone that's going to listen to this and they're going to learn to use their intuition, or, they're going to understand that it's not just physical abuse. Like you mentioned, how it just kind of creeps up on you. And that was my experience. You know what I mean? And how do it's easy to heal a broken bone per se, but how do you heal a broken spirit? And so when you were talking about the mental and the emotional abuse, how it creeps up on you, it's so easy to, broken bone, okay, it'll heal over time, but that broken spirit, it takes more inner work to do that.
Yeah.
And then the fact that you took some time off. Oftentimes we don't even take time off from dating, and we end up in the same cycle. But then you mentioned, you met someone, you knew the signs, but you didn't trust your instinct. And so that's what I want to talk about now, because we know like as women, like we have that instinct or the Holy Spirit or whatever you want to call
Mhm.
it, right? That unction,
Yes.
you know that it's there, but we oftentimes ignore it. So let's talk about the importance of women trusting their intuition and those missed signs of abuse.
Yes. Yes. First things first, your body doesn't lie to you.
Mm,
And it's so important to know that when you get that feeling, and the feeling in your stomach that's like, there's just something that doesn't make sense. So in my last relationship, one thing that had stood out was every time we talked, he was in the car. And I was like, that's just so weird. Like, I mean, every time we talk, you either walk into the car, I'm gonna call you when I get in the car. Like, at
mm.
no point during any time, at all these different times of the day, why are you always in your car? Like, do you live in your car? Like,
Right, right.
but as women, and I don't know if men experience this because I can only speak from a woman's perspective,
Hmm.
but sometimes we don't want to question things when we see that something's wrong because we don't want to cause drama. I don't want to mess this up. This is a good thing. I don't want
Girl,
to mess
oh
this
my
up.
goodness.
Like I heard a woman in the background one day on the phone and I wanted to bring it up, but I'm like, no, he's still talking to me though. So it can't be, but I want to bring it up, and it's like, no, but I don't want to mess this up. And
Right. We
it's,
think we're tripping.
and
Oh,
that
I'm tripping.
I'm tripping. Oh, girl, how many times have I told myself I'm tripping? And it's like, no, you're not. And when you heard that woman in the background, or when you notice that this person's only calling you every time you're in the car, that is a red flag. And the feeling that you got as soon as you put it together, like, this just don't feel right. That right there is your exit. And and a lot of times what we do is we make excuses. We'll make so many excuses. Even in the relationship, like you talked about, like the often missed signs. How a person treats you, how you feel when you're around somebody, how you feel when you're drained, when after a conversation with someone. I remember one experience is I was sitting on the couch watching television. It was a good day, this day where I was with this guy, and all of a sudden he was like, you're really lucky to be with me. And I
Wow.
like raised
Lucky.
up like, like, wait a minute, what? And he's like, nobody would want you. You didn't graduate from college. You are a single mom, you're divorced. He's like, you're lucky to be with me. And
Hmm.
I was like, I mean, right there on the outside looking in, you would say, well, that was your key to leave. Why didn't you leave? And
Right,
it's like,
right.
people don't realize your brain is so twisted up by these little insidious pieces of abuse that keep happening over and over again that you end up accepting the things that you wouldn't normally accept, or you make
Right.
excuses. Oh, he's
That's
just
so
having a
true.
bad day.
Whew,
It's just
girl, you just spoke to me. I mean, you just spoke to my soul because I remember hearing those exact same words. Didn't finish college. You're a single mother. Like, I remember hearing that same thing and thinking, you know what? He might be right. Maybe I just need to work it out.
yeah, yeah. And I did a webinar just the other day about why we stay in toxic relationships, and a lot of times we want to get it back to the good place where it was because it
Hmm.
always starts off great. It starts off perfect, right? And we want to get it back. If I can just get it back to that. And we put it all on ourselves. Like, I know if I could just, if I could be a better person, I could do better. And it's like, no, if you're putting your all into something and it's still not enough, it's not a good fit for you. And
Right.
it's okay to walk away. It really is. And people, I mean, my self esteem was so low in that first relationship because I had just gotten out of my marriage and I already felt like a failure. No one sets out to get divorced, right? So I was like,
Right.
dang, I'm just a failure. And I didn't say it out loud, but I felt it. And abusers can smell your low self esteem a mile away.
They can.
So,
Yes, they can. Yes, yes. There's a scent. There's a low self esteem, a scent that's out there, and they smell it.
yes. And they smell it and they are like, "Ooh, you are the perfect one for me." I'm coaching a person right now, and she had shared with me how narcissists are so textbook. There really needs to just be a simple guide, because they're going to do the exact same thing in every relationship, right? And she had mentioned him driving her car, like how he puts her down about the things that she's not, but realistically he's projecting because he's so insecure. Mm-hmm. He feels he's not worthy enough, and this is what narcissists are. They create this little cocoon to make themselves better than life, because in real life, they don't feel good about themselves. They don't feel worthy. And so it's something to remember. It's not something that you are supposed to fix. They got to fix that on their own.
Absolutely.
But just know, it's all projection. You're not what they said that you are. Narcissists prey on on people they know are good people.
Yes, I agree with
that. They call them narcissists. What is another term? They call them vampires.
Yes, like the toxic energy vampires.
Yeah. And when you think about a vampire, the vampire needs something to suck out of you.
Yeah.
And so that means there needs to be something present. So I just want to encourage anybody who is in a relationship or coming out of it, questioning, what type of person they were. You had to be something special for them to even want to approach you, because they need your power. They need to suck you dry. So, you're an amazing person. And they saw that and they were like, oh, I'm going to suck all this amazingness out of them because I need it. Because I don't feel amazing,
Yeah, I agree. They needed to fuel them so that they would feel better,
Yeah.
And I remember my mom saying to me, you don't have that, because I'm always the outgoing person, the life of the party, smiling, always giggling. And I remember my mother saying, there's something different about your smile. It's like somebody snatched it away, and the one that you have now is replacing the real one. Like, she's like, I want my real daughter back, the one that was really bubbly. So just kind of snatching your happiness and your joy and your confidence away from you. So I definitely know how that feels. So JJ, please tell us about, since we're talking about narcissism, you have a program, healing from narcissist abuse. Can you tell us about that program?
Yeah. So every month I do a different series of webinars that are helping women to heal from narcissistic abuse. The last one was, why can't I leave my abuser? The one that I have coming up at the end of October is 7 ways to bounce back in your business after a toxic relationship. Because a lot of us women, we lose everything because we put everything into this person. We give them all our time and all our energy, and then everything around us seems to fail. And so helping women to just get their businesses back together after a toxic relationship. We also have a seminar coming up in November about how to know you're really ready to date after an abusive relationship, because we want to make sure that we aren't hopping into something too soon when we really need to take the time to heal. And then in January, I'm releasing my first course on healing from narcissistic abuse. It's an 8-week course. It's so fun and so interactive because this is such a heavy topic.
It is a heavy topic. Mm-hmm.
So I try to make sure that I'm just very interactive, and I have some videos and skits that I do and stuff so that people know we're going to make this as cool as we can, right? So that you're not feeling too heavy once you get done with these seminars, but you're getting the information that you need and you're kind of having fun while you're learning. And that's really important for me. So yeah, girl, I'm trying to do this work because I want to see people healing. I do self-love coaching. So I have a few clients, and it's weird because it just so happened that my clients ended up all coming out of abusive relationships. People keep reaching out, and I was like, man, it seems like they're dating the same guy.
Right.
So, but I love it. I love being able to pour into people. And it's also very helpful when you're talking to somebody who's been there, so. That's the word.
Absolutely. You mentioned they're all dating the same guy. It's like the same guy, different face, right? Same personality, same guy, just a different face. And I remember even personally, like getting out of these unhealthy relationships, and then the next one would be the same guy, different face,
Yes.
until I married one of them, the one that was the same guy, different face,
Mhm.
but his narcissism was worse than the others. But, I'm so glad that
Gosh.
you're doing these programs. It's so important that we talk about narcissist abuse. It's important that we heal from it again, or else we'll keep attracting the same thing over and over again until we
Yeah.
learn the lesson that is meant to be learned from that particular situation.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so
Yes.
true.
And, doing this work, people, we don't just do this work. Like, you don't grow up as a child. You don't say, when I grow up, I'm going to be a domestic violence expert. I'm going to be a domestic violence advocate, right? Like, growing up, that's not what we thought, right? This is life circumstances. So oftentimes I believe that, life circumstances kind of push us into our life purpose. And so what I wanted to ask you was, your life experiences. How have your life experiences prepared you for the work that you do today?
Yeah. I'm in a place right now where I can look back at everything that has happened in my life and be grateful for the pain that I've experienced that has brought me to this place where, when you're in it, you can't see it. You can't see the testimony that's about to come, but I now see that because of those experiences, I've been able to help other people break their chains, to empower them, to use my testimony as, as hope that it will not always be like this and that you can overcome this. And so, everything from my relationship with my mother and being raped in college and hit by my first boyfriend, my experiences with emotional and mental abuse, and just doing so much and still being able to be an amazing mother and still being able to keep my, radio career for 26 years. Like, there's so many elements to my life that I'm able to share to help empower people. And it's a blessing. It's a blessing in the pain. It's just,
Yeah.
you just don't know it when you're in it.
Yeah, I like that. You don't know it when you're in it, but there is definitely a blessing in the pain. And you're a blessing. You're a blessing to so many people. You've been a blessing to me today just by having this conversation. I think, I don't talk to you often, but when we do, it's a great, great opportunity, to kind of reflect and share our stories because we're doing the same type of work. So you're
Yeah.
always a blessing to me. You're always encouraging. And I appreciate you for that. I appreciate your transparency.
Well, thank you. And same to you. I'm watching from afar and I'm like, every time I see you, I'm like, man, I gotta get myself together.
No, no, ma'am. You have it together, most definitely. But I appreciate that.
You are such an
JJ,
inspiration.
so of course, this is the Living the Empowered Life podcast, and everything we do is about living an empowered life. And you are definitely doing that. So, again, thank you for that. But I wanted to ask you very quickly, what does it mean to you to live an empowered life?
Oh gosh, it means being able to be free of any judgment, anyone else's thoughts, and standing in my truth no matter what. Like, to me, that's an empowered life. Standing in my truth no
Yes.
matter what. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Standing in my truth, no matter what. Yes, that is definitely what living the empowered life is all about. And so before we close out, I want to make sure you got an opportunity to share everything you had on your heart to share. Do you have a final thought or a charge for the audience at this time?
Yeah, I mean, just going back to what we said about the intuition, I just if I can't say anything else, and I promise, like, for the rest of my life, this is what I have to encourage people to do, is just trust yourself. Trust that feeling that is in your gut that says it's not right, and move and do what you need to do. Get out. Like, you know what is not right. You know it. And that's it. Like, I just want people to be able to trust, like you said, either whatever you want to call it, the intuition, your Holy Spirit that's inside, God speaking to you, whatever that is, just trust it.
I love that. Thank you so much, JJ. Let us know how we can keep in contact with you and stay connected.
Yes, I am JJ on the mic, JJ on the MIC, on everything, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And my website is jjonthemic.com. You can see all my programs, my books. If you want to read Without Bruises, to hear my experience with emotional and mental abuse, it's like a Lifetime movie put into a book. You can, and it's a quick read. I would definitely recommend you grab that on the website.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much for sharing with us. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I miss you.
I miss you too. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Living the Empowered Life podcast. I hope that you enjoyed my conversation with my inspiring friend, Jillian J.J. Simmons, and that you were able to draw some inspiration as you continue your journey of living an empowered life. And remember, each one of us can make a difference, but together we can make change. What if you can make a difference in the world using your expertise, your experience, and your story? When you write a self-help book, you have the power to help other people address their most pressing personal and professional issues while also finding your success as an author. If you're a survivor of life's adversities, if you have an expertise or experience that can make a profound impact on the world, then I invite you to register for my free training, How to Write a Self-Help Book in 30 Days. In this free training, you'll learn the 5 keys to writing a successful self-help book, how to craft an outline, how to create a writing schedule, and actually stick to it. You'll also learn how to brainstorm book ideas using your personal story, your expertise, and your life experiences. This training is free, but you must register at tinyurl.com/author training. So ladies, listen. It's time to discover and live your life purpose. It's time to value yourself. It's time to set goals that are going to move you forward in life. It's time to rebuild your confidence. It's time to fearlessly walk in your authentic power. And ladies, it's time to live the empowered life.